to the DraftKings running back analysis for Week 16. I'm Jason Gilbo, J Gilbo 11. With me is Russell Clay at Russell J Clay. Looking at main slate running backs. So, no Le'Veon Bell this week. David Johnson's in a tough matchup. Where are you kind of looking in terms of kind of spending at running back this week?
So this is the first time in about 5 weeks where we kind of have a different perspective, and where paying down or paying to a reasonable range is actually pretty viable, because there are some interesting pay up options at wide receiver. So I'm more interested in the mid range. I mean, we'll talk about LaShawn McCoy in a sec, but beyond him, I really think you can. These are more fadeable than the past few weeks. Not saying you can't pay up at running back, just saying, most of my tournament lineups will likely be more mixed than just DJ Bell, like they were the last 5 weeks.
Yeah, definitely with you. It's just a week where you just want to get some pieces of the pie to, about 5 or 6 guys that are around.
Right.
So, first one here, going up against San Francisco, Todd Gurley. This one's an interesting one to break down this week.
It's tragic. I did the salary exploitation on Monday, and you brought up Gurley, and I was just so resigned to the fact that he stinks, and I was just like, I don't know that I want to do this, and here we are on Wednesday, and we're doing it. I'm all in. Jacquizz Rodgers got 140 rushing yards, and that's kind of the little thing I tell myself every time I want to fade San Francisco, running back facing San Francisco. If Jacquizz Rodgers can do it, then, I could probably get a yard if Jacquizz Rodgers can get 143. So, like 1 yard on 20 carries.
Do you remember that week? Because you were trashing me for even just putting him into my roster.
I hated you, not just Jacquizz Rodgers. I hated you for even suggesting him. And then Sunday rolls around and he's just smashing on 30 carries. He just annihilated them. So I think we just fire away with Gurley here. Obviously, he hasn't been great this year, but I think we can look to last year and say, okay, there is some upside here with this talent. The passing game is still not great. They might be able to move the ball with Lance Kendricks and Kenny Britt. But overall, I think Gurley's borderline cash at his price against this San Francisco trash team.
Yeah, that's the thing. I kind of like Kenny Britt this week. I don't mind him. I think they're going to be able to just move the ball to a certain degree where they can keep him a little bit honest, because that was the problem in the first week. It wasn't keeping San Francisco's defense honest. I like Gurley this weekend without Benny Cunningham. You've get a ticked up in snaps. He's been playing nearly 80% both weeks, and also kind of gets a little bit more usage in the passing game.
Certainly. And, 49ers, they're just losing players left and right. It's ugly.
Yeah, it definitely is. Next one here, in terms of a pay-up option, LaShawn McCoy.
Yeah, really the top pay-up option, in my opinion. I think you can still go with, Johnson. But overall, I think McCoy, obviously we've seen the last few weeks, really dominating mediocre opponents. That's what this Dolphins team is. Buffalo, they have like a 0.1% chance of getting in the playoffs still, so they're still going to be fighting for that. I think, I think they're an interesting offense, and against this Dolphins team, McCoy is certainly going to see, at least 20 touches. So I expect him to be that high-end option we want to pay up for this week. Cash game for me.
Yeah, I'm with you in terms of the pay up. There's no Zeke, no Bell, Johnson on the road against Seattle. Is Johnson still in play even in GPP for you?
Yes. Oh, absolutely. They don't really have anything to play for other than getting Johnson, totally ridiculous season-long statistics. So I think they're going to just keep firing away with that. Who do they really have at this stage? I know John Brown got that touchdown last week. He's still very limited. He's going to be limited, but I don't know if it's the rest of his career, but it certainly seems to be trending towards that direction. Michael Floyd obviously off the team. JJ Nelson, not really a prominent guy. So, other than Fitz, they don't really have anyone on that offense other than Johnson. So, Yeah, I still think he's a viable tournament guy.
Certainly. Moving on to some GPP plays. Doug Martin here, taking on the Saints in a kind of sneaky spot here.
Yeah, and Rich Rebar threw out a tweet about uh, Doug Martin and his yards per carry after he came back from the injury, obviously struggling mightily, but against this New Orleans Saints team, could break one of those big runs he's known for hitting. I mean, if you remember his rookie year against Oakland, obviously had that like 260-yard, 3-touchdown game. Has had a bunch of those games throughout his career where he doesn't do anything for multiple weeks and then boom, huge week. So I think this could be a big time upside matchup in the tournament for him. Obviously, really cheap. Obviously, going to have low ownership because people think he stinks. So I'm in.
Yeah, I think most people are probably going to be trending the direction of using Evans again, you know. So, I mean, I
Mhm.
think he's a perfect, cheaper pivot play off of that.
Absolutely.
So, next one here, looking to take advantage of the Matt Forte injury. Didn't practice today, Wednesday. Bilal Powell, I mean, back-to-back games here, you know, high usage.
Yeah, and you can play him with Patriots D. You can play him with Brady and Edelman stack. You can play him with all your Patriots. Bilal Powell is money. He's high-end running back one as long as he's the starter, just based on how they use him in that offense. Fire away, DraftKings, FanDuel, Yahoo, season long. Your home league. Hopefully, you have him. Uh, he's cash. He's cash for me. I know I said tournament, but if Forte, I just found out about the Forte shoulder injury that he missed practice with today. So has the knee injury now and a shoulder that he said he won't play if he can't defend himself. So yeah, if Powell's alone as the starter, I'm in, all in.
And I don't even think I'm going to be quite worried if Forte is quote unquote active. I mean, we saw he was active last
Yeah,
week, and
yeah.
you know, I think either way, I think you know Powell's good for 60, you know, plus percent of the snaps.
And those receptions just boost so much. So yeah, I love it on DraftKings.
Yeah, definitely. Value guy, Rob Kelley.
Yes.
This is always your favorite. You know, when they come out and just suck on a primetime game, and then you know everyone comes off.
It
You
is.
love that.
I love it so much. I love it so much. Because, as DFS people, and I think a lot of the viewers understand this as well, like not only does the primetime game affect people's perception of the player, but if someone's on the road, sometimes it's just a bad matchup. Like sometimes players just play bad. Like we talk a lot about home road splits. That was just like not an optimal matchup for Washington against that Carolina team that was coming off a few tough losses. Carolina obviously not trending in the right direction this year, but they just played really well. I don't think there was anything Washington could really do about that. So yeah, like you said, that's kind of my jam. I like buying the teams coming off the prime time beatdown. So against this Bears team who played well against the Packers, this Bears team has just a bunch of backups on defense. Now I know their secondary is still pretty reasonable, but Rob Kelley, I know he's not quite the athlete Ty Montgomery is, but with the way Washington should be able to move the ball, I expect Kelley to get multiple red zone opportunities. And if he does, we already saw him with that 130-yard, rushing performance a few weeks ago. I think we could see something similar.
I do too. I like him a lot this week, and you know what? It was 14 or 15 DK points this past week, and had
Yeah.
an absolute horrible day on the ground. I mean, a
Mhm.
couple catches, got the touchdown. You know, 14, 15 points. I mean, on a horrific performance,
Yeah,
that gives me some confidence coming into this week. While most are going, "Oh, he was awful."
certainly.
That's going to wrap things up with the DraftKings running back analysis for Week 16. If you want to check out Russ's article, you can head on over to DaveFantasyCafe.com and check that out. Be sure to check out the rest of our Week 16 content.